Hello YouTube, Dave here again, back with another wrestling replica belt video, but today is going to be a little bit different because we're not looking at a WWE shop replica belt. We are looking at a belt that was designed for the World Wrestling Federation and was even shown on TV, but this might be one of the most famous cases of a championship that was designed but never actually used to represent the company, even though at one point that was actually the plan. Some other belts that were designed and never used would be like the Brahma Bull Championship, as well as there was like the King of the Ring title, although that was never technically designed for actual TV. You also had this silver Smoking Skull belt, which again was never actually used. But in my opinion, I think this might be the best and most famous championship. Like, what if? What if this belt could have been used? Because anyway, it's a great design. The belt was designed for the lead up to WrestleMania 3, where Andre the Giant was taking on Hulk Hogan. For kayfabe, the belt was commissioned by Bobby the Brain Heenan to be used in the event that Andre the Giant won the title, because they wanted a championship that would look normal on Andre the Giant. And at the time, the World Championship belt, the Hogan 86 belt, would have looked incredibly tiny on a man the size of Andre the Giant. So this belt was designed for that purpose. So this is the Fandu Andre 87 replica belt. So I bought this from Fandu Belts, and it was part of their imperfect sale. They do, I think, a few times a year. Essentially what it is during the plating process, there's some sort of like minor flaws that they find on them. And instead of selling them as a new replica that they, really honestly could get away with, I don't think anyone would really mind, they actually mark them as imperfect and they sell them at a reduced rate. And this one was actually on sale even further. So it was about $260 US. It was a little over 300 something when it was converted into Canadian, but I, knew the sale was coming up, or that was lasting for a little bit, so I had some money saved up, and I decided that I was going to go in and pick this up because it was a belt that I've wanted for a while now, and I was just waiting for it to go on sale. So yeah, this, like I said, it's technically an imperfect, meaning there's some sort of issue with the plating, but I got to be honest, I really don't see much of anything that I would consider to be an issue. So I don't know what it is, but I'm not going to question it. So this is the all gold-plated version of the title belt. The original Andre belt that was designed for WrestleMania 3 was technically dual-plated. Dual is in D-U-A-L. I've always heard, people say it, but they said it fast enough that it almost sounded like they were saying jewel-plated, like jewelry. But what a dual-plated belt is, basically the base of the plate, so any portion that is recessed or flat, like the space between the eagle's wings here, around the banners, just any part that's just like the flat part of the belt, would be plated in like nickel or silver, and the raised up portions with the detailing on them, like the compasses, the wreaths, the eagles, the scroll works, the globe, the band, like the lettering on the banners, that would be plated in gold. So you'd have silver for the base, and everything that was raised up off of it would be gold plated. Now, I don't like dual plating on a world title belt. It's just something that, for me, I want a world title to be all gold plated, because that feels a lot more prestigious in my opinion. I just never liked the look of a dual-plated belt. I apologize for that. I know some people like them, some people love them. It's just not my thing. So they have a dual-plated version, but I wanted the all-gold version because I think personally that looks better. But let's just take a look at the overview of the belt here. So we'll go from tip to tip. We'll skip over the center plate and then come back to it sort of at the once we go over the side plates and stuff. So this is Fandu's faux leather strap, and honestly, it is incredibly soft and flexible. It's not real leather, but it feels pretty close, and it mimics a lot of what you'd expect from a real leather strap. So really nice and flexible. I'm really impressed with it. And this one actually has the simulated tooling into the strap as well. A lot of the videos that I've seen actually for the Andre belt are all several years old at this point. And they all have like just the untooled, just basic like faux leather strap that has like no detailing on it whatsoever. Has like the stitching around it and nothing else. So I wanted to do a video where it actually shows off what the tooled straps look like, even on the faux leather belts, because I think they did a really great job with the tooling on it here. So like the snap box looks great. The male snaps are your traditional 2x8. On the end here, it does have the Fandu belts stamped into it, which looks really, really cool. You have some options when you order this belt. You can get it on an all-white strap. You can get it with the black strap with black backing, or a black strap with red backing. That's what I went with. I went with the red backing, and I was expecting it just be like a vinyl, like a flat matte red vinyl backing, but they actually put on fake artificial croc backing. And I really love the way that this looks. It's showing up a little bit lighter on camera than it is in person. But yeah, it just looks really, really cool. It's my first replica belt with like a croc backing, and I absolutely love it. I think they did just an awesome job with the backing on it there. It feels really cool. For the side plates, these are similar to what the Hogan 86 side plates were. The only difference is that it has like a scroll work border around the plate as opposed to sort of like the circular pattern that was on the sides of the Hogan belt. This obviously, Fandu actually do license the designs of the championship belts that they put out, but they don't have access or rights to use company logos except for the NWA, because they actually made the NWA belt, the plates at least, that you can see on NWA television, or I don't know if it's television or YouTube, but wherever like the actual NWA stuff is being done these days, their domed globe world title belt, the plates were actually made by Fandu. So really, really cool. But for stuff like this, and the classic tag team title belts that are like the classic WWF tag titles, they don't have company logos on them, which is fine by me because I like the way this looks. With the tag belt, you can get like a crown logo or an FWF style, which kind of looks like the Wonder Woman logo. I do want to get a classic tag belt with the crown symbol on it, but I haven't. I'm going to wait for them to do another sale for their imperfect belts. But the actual contents of the side plates are the exact same as the Hogan 86 belt. So you've got different flags from around the world. So you got the Soviet Union, because this was the 80s before the end of the Cold War and the dissolving of the Soviet Union. So you got the Soviet Union flag, you've got the Italian flag, the American flag, and I was going to say Italian again, the Mexican flag. And actually, the center portion here, the gold detailing is actually raised up, and you can really feel it. The plates are also 8 millimeters thick, and you can actually really see how high up, how raised up the lettering is there, which looks really, really cool. The lettering is also super clear and easy to read. I know it's kind of a fingerprint magnet, and I apologize, but you can really make out the lettering really, really well. The light might make that a bit difficult in this video, but it is super clear to read. Going over to the other side here, we've got the side plates for the United Kingdom and Australia, as well as Japan, and of course Canada. That is, the country that I live in, so that's, I guess, my favorite flag. I'm not a flag person to begin with, but it is cool to see actual flags on a world title belt, and yeah, to see the Canadian flag, I really like that. And then we got the female snaps, which is 2x5, and you got the gold tip on the end. The actual Andre belt did have a tip on it. There was a relief plate that had Andre on it. I think it was Andre, and then had like the WWF logo and like a scroll pattern on it, I think. But these ones are just going to be sort of your generic belt tips, but again, that's fine. They look cool. And again, nice flexible strap here that we've got. As for the center plate, one of the reasons that I really like this design is because it's kind of like, so my favorite title design of all time is the Undisputed Championship. And the Undisputed title is referred to as the heritage design, meaning that it has design inspirations from multiple different championship belts. And this belt is also has inspiration from all 3 of the major titles that the WWF had at the time. So the side plates, the flag configuration, is the exact same as the Hogan belt. You also have the wreaths here, the laurels, whatever you want to call them, from the that was also found on Hogan's WWF Championship belt. The bottom of the plate, as well as the globe here, are taken from the Intercontinental Championship along with the compasses. So there's some Intercontinental Championship inspiration here. The sides are actually similar to the WCW United States Championship. So a little bit more of a flourish on them over the traditional Intercontinental Championship, but the steps here, the first two steps, and the compass points, as well as the globe, are lifted straight from the Intercontinental title, just obviously made bigger because this belt was designed to be held by Andre the Giant. The heavyweight wrestling champion banner here with the scroll work in the middle is actually taken right from the tag team titles. So it would say tag team wrestling champion instead of heavyweight wrestling champion, but you still had that sort of scroll pattern in between the two banners there was found on the tag team belt. So you had the side plates and the wreaths from the world title. You had the bottom portion, the compass points, and the globe from the Intercontinental Championship, and you had the banners, the dual banners, and the scroll work in between them from the tag team titles. So it was a really cool amalgamation of three different championship belts. Other than, that aspect of it, we have some more details here. So we have this like dash line pattern here. It actually creates sort of this section that reminds me a little bit of the black areas from the NWA Domed Globe Championship. Obviously, they're not painted in or anything, but that shape does kind of feel a bit reminiscent with like the circular portion in the middle there. So I don't think that was a direct inspiration, but it is just kind of interesting to see some things that remind you of other belts in there. You also have the world banner with that sort of is sort of like, it's almost like it's folded around and actually loops around on of itself here. You can see on the sides, you got 5 stars on each side, and you've got like, again, the world. And what's actually kind of cool is that the ribbon actually comes up and off of the leather strap. So the tip of my finger is actually touching the leather strap, but I'm actually holding the belt up by a portion of it that's not actually on the strap. So it actually kind of comes off of the strap, similar to how the winged eagle, the wings of the eagle, would sort of just slightly come off of the leather strap for that title design that we would see a year later. So it's just kind of cool that there's, like I said, some similarities there. As I mentioned, the globe is from the Intercontinental title, but you do have these 2 eagles flying away on either side, and these things look amazing. Like just the detail, the way that the work on with the feathers and the wings and all the detailing there, it really catches the light, and it almost glows, right? It just looks really, really cool. And then you got just the scroll pattern on the top here. Now this belt, like I said, it was designed for WrestleMania 3. It was declared to be the new world title belt coming out of WrestleMania 3, regardless of whether Hogan won or lost, but that never ended up happening. And this belt, after WrestleMania 3, just kind of disappeared and was never used on television again. However, there is a little bit of a legacy to this belt, which is actually kind of cool, because it was sort of rescued in the form of some of the WWE video games. In SmackDown vs. Raw 2010, one of their Road to WrestleMania stories involved the brand wars between Raw, SmackDown, and ECW. So during the storyline, all 3 brands' world title belt was destroyed in one form or another. So the spinner belt was destroyed, which I'm sure a lot of people were kind of happy about. The world heavyweight title was destroyed, and the silver, Rising Phoenix ECW belt design, that championship was destroyed as well. So the end of the story at WrestleMania was a triple threat match where the winner would be declared the champion of champions. And they actually had a belt for the winner of the champion of champions match, being the champion of champions champion. But the design that they used was actually the center plate for the Andre 87 belt with some modifications. So you still had the globe with the 2 eagles flying away. You still had the shape overall of the Andre belt with the ribbons sort of coming off the strap as well. You had the 5-star patterns, but it didn't read world. Instead you had banners reading champion of champions sort of in the lower portion, and then you had the Raw, SmackDown, and ECW logos on the top of the plate, as well as like the WWE logo. The side plates on it were actually the center plates of the 3 destroyed championships, and then the 4th side plate was just one taken straight from the spinner title. So you'd have like the spinner belt on one of the side plates, and then that would be like the spinner belt. Then you'd have the world heavyweight title And then you got the ECW title center plate as like an all silver plated side plate. And then you just had, like I said, one from the spinner. But it was cool to see a championship use the Andre design and actually be like the belt that not only represented a brand, but represented the entire WWE. So even though it wasn't used in '87, like I really wish it would have been, it was rescued in the SmackDown vs. Raw 2010 and turned into the Champion of Champions belt. The Champion of Champions title belt would also appear in WWE 12. I think the way that you unlock it was to go into, I think it was like the early, whatever they had for Universe mode, and get to WrestleMania and have a title match at WrestleMania, and then you would unlock the Champion of Champions belt. So it is kind of cool that it did have a bit of a legacy outside of the fact that it was used for just a few weeks on WWF television back in 1987. This belt was also meant to be the world title belt that Hogan would use in the No Holds Barred movie. But at that point, when they were filming that, the Winged Eagle, I think, was the championship being used at that point in time. But I think there was a scene where, like, it was in an office or something like that, but they actually had the Andre belt on a white leather strap that's sort of like an Easter egg in the movie. So it has appeared in a couple of places. It's just a shame that it was never actually the championship. But there you go. So that's sort of the history of it. As far as this replica is concerned, I mean, Fandu did an amazing job. The strap is great. The faux leather feels really, really good. The plates are 8 millimeters thick, so these are super thick plates, and they've got a massive curve on the center plate, so you can get most of my hand underneath of it before you even move the belt on top. So it's got a really deep curve to it, and it just overall looks really, really great. And this is their imperfect version, so there is some sort of minor plating issue somewhere on the belt. The only thing I can really see is that on the top here, there's a little piece that kind of sticks up, and that's really the only thing that I can really notice. I don't see anything where it looks like there's scratches on it or where there's bubbling or anything like that on it. So yeah, just overall, it looks, I mean, there's a couple of small bubbles on like the side plates, but overall, like for their imperfect belt, it looks amazing. And, you know, I've seen, like, I had some trepidations because I was afraid that I might get some like majorly damaged looking plate. But it does say that it's supposed to be a minor flaw, and it looks perfect to me. Like, there's, you know, like I said, this little bump up here is the only thing I can really think of that makes it imperfect. So for the price, it is an absolutely amazing replica. So you should definitely check out Fandu belts. They do some awesome stuff. They also do, like I said, the classic WWF Tag Team title belt. They do the Backlund WWF Championship belt. They also make the big gold belt. They have a couple different styles of that. The Luxe version is like the main one that I think people go for these days. Which, you know, if you're a fan of the big gold belt, they look great. It's not my thing personally. I'm not a huge fan of that design, but I know a lot of people love it, and they make great replicas for that. They also make the official NWA championship belts. So the plates that are being used in NWA wrestling right now on several of their title belts are actually made by Fandu, and they do make the replica of the domed globe as well. So yeah, if you're interested in any of those, check out Fandu's website. I'll try to include it in a link in the description here. But yeah, really awesome, really impressive. And yeah, I do plan on getting the classic tag team title belts from them. I'm not too keen on the other titles that they make, just that they're just not designs that I'm particularly interested in, but they do amazing work, and they're definitely worth checking out. They also make sidebar replacements for the network logo or the big logo WWE title belts. So if you want a thicker sidebar, they do make those as well. So they do some really cool stuff. They're definitely worth checking out. But this Fandu belt, it is one of my favorite replicas in my collection. And like I said, they just did an amazing job on it. And yeah, I got it for their imperfect belt sale, and it was worth every penny. It was just a really awesome belt. So anyway, this was my look at the all gold Fandu Andre 87 championship belt. Let me know in the comments below, do you even remember seeing this belt on videos or on TV if you were watching wrestling back in '87? Like, do you remember this belt at all? Is your memories of this belt tied to the Champion of Champions belt from SmackDown vs. Raw 2010? Just let me know. Or, do you just wish, like me, that this would have been the world title being used out of WrestleMania 3 until the Winged Eagle came out? So anyway, that was my look. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. So thank you again very, very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I appreciate your support, and I will see you all next time. Take care.